A couple of months ago, I bought a Honda Accord CE8, a generation that had been long overshadowed by Type Rs, American variants, and even Rovers. It was the forgotten Accord. Some of you thought it was brilliant, some of you thought it was bland, but I really got attached to it. It didn't just give me the keys to a nice 90s saloon, it gave me the keys to an alter ego, a middle management crisis. We went on a small road trip together, but now it was time for me to dive my hands into those poorly fitted suit trouser pockets and give the Honda some love. It was a fairly well looked after car, but it had all the tropes of a shoddy CE8. Rusty wheel arches, a window that didn't go up, and it was in desperate need of a clean, amongst a few other smaller jobs. But now, I'm very pleased to say, the Accord is finished, and here's how. The first job was one I had been desperate to do ever since I bought the car. Remove those questionable stickers.
Riveting. One down, however many to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to go. God's sake.
I then powered through the rest of the letters. And once the last one was removed, a quick polish, and it was like it was never there. I then moved on to de-Polandizing the rear window. And after satisfying my inner 8-year-old, I then cleaned up the glass.
Check that out.
If you remember, the car had lots of random items inside, some more lucrative than others.
Let's get rid of some of these. Oh, what was that? Oh, it's £1! Yes! I'm rich. That's some serious MPG saved there.
My gloating was quite short-lived though.
Oh no, that's disgusting. That is just vile. Oh no. Oh, it's just gone to sludge.
With the mystery sticky substance removed, I then tackled the filthy door shuts. The same degreaser treatment could then be applied to the rest of the doors, followed by the petrol cap. Once that was finished, the doors were dried off, and then I could attack the boot. The following day, and the car now booked in for paintwork, I started out by taking a deeper dive into the boot to give it a clean. It was pretty disgusting, certainly not somewhere I'd be putting my sales rep briefcase. Underneath revealed the spare wheel and toolkit in amazing condition, but not wanting to leave any stones unturned, it still needed a clean. So I stripped it out and gave it a full once over. The end result was nothing short of a brand new car, and once the same was done to the spare and the tools, the boot could then be reassembled. Moving to the front of the car, I could then tackle the engine bay. It wasn't bad, but scabby paint, dull plastics, and dirt in all the nooks and crannies made it look a little tired. Bearing in mind it's 30 years old, however, it's not as simple as a quick jet wash. Everything had to be hand detailed using degreaser and an all-purpose cleaner. 3 hours went into transforming under the bonnet, and it speaks for itself. It's a testament to Honda's build quality for how showroom fresh this still looks. It was then time to take the car for paintwork. If you remember, it had some rust starting on the rear arches, as well as a poor repair on the rear door. The colour is the centrepiece of the car, and I felt it let the gorgeous woodland green paintwork down, so I sent it out to have everything professionally sorted. A few weeks later, and the car had returned with its new paintwork. There was no more rusty arches, and some fresh metal was put in its place, and that poor previous repair, well, that was a thing of the past. The Honda is now starting to look like something to be proud of. In fact, I was so proud of my Accord, I decided to use it, and that's where things started to go downhill. After a couple of weeks of daily use, the ABS light mysteriously came on, and with no OBD port, it was a tricky one to diagnose myself. I ended up taking the car to my mechanic, who discovered it was a faulty ABS pump. All the connections were badly corroded. Luckily, I managed to source a replacement one, and it worked a treat. By this point, the MOT was running short. I decided to give it a fresh ticket while it was still in the workshop, and of course, it passed with no advisories. All it needed was a set of wiper blades. Clearly, it wasn't too happy about that though, because the driver's window then decided to stay permanently down. Fortunately, a new switch straight from a Rover 600 fixed that. And with a working window, the end was in sight for the Honda. The only thing letting it down now was the way it looked. It was in desperate need of a clean, inside and out. The interior was dusty and the carpets were ingrained with mud, and as for the outside, it had a thick layer of dirt built up as well as bird poo and filthy wheels. The first step was to clean inside the wheel arches. The car could be jacked up before being hit with a pre-wash and a rinse. Chances are these have never been done. Fortunately, the original green underseal was still present and the arches cleaned up well. With the wheels fitted, I then addressed the interior. If you remember, some of the fabrics had come loose over the years. The rear door card and sunroof shade made the interior look a little sad. Using some spray glue and some plastic trim tools, this was quickly fixed on the door. However, the headliner needed a bit more persuasion. With the upholstery fixed, then began the cleaning. I started by using an APC and a brush on all the plastics to remove any dirt and dust from the surfaces, especially in the nooks and crannies. A particularly bad spot was this gear knob. It was covered in grease and had a shiny finish, however the brush made light work of it. Once I had finished, I then removed the floor mats and began to hoover up the mess on the carpets. They cleaned up excellently and made the car feel like a much nicer place to be. Then I gave those wonderful velour seats the same treatment. The mats had dirt embedded in them, so the only solution was to break out the wet vac. Once again these came up like new, and they could then be placed back into the car to finish the interior off. It did certainly feel like the home straight for the Honda, and the most satisfying step is always the last one, giving it a much deserved exterior wash. Firstly, the wheels were given a going over. I'd love to say these were hard to clean, but with 5 chunky spokes, it was quite the opposite. Then I could move on to the body. Starting with the TFR pre-wash, this breaks up the initial loose dirt in order to have less contaminants in the contact wash stage. After a rinse, the all-important snow foam came into play. This tackles any of the harder to shift contaminants on the paintwork. A good and thorough contact wash with a mitt then agitates the really stubborn stuff. Finally, a rinse, and we get our first sense of a truly clean Accord. We're not done yet though. After a quick dry, tyre shine could then be applied. Brown tyres are a pet peeve of mine, and this makes all the difference. And remember that ultra clean engine bay? The final step for that was some dressing to liven up the plastics. The last piece of this Accord shaped puzzle was something I'd been desperate to fit since we started. As some of you may know, I'm a bit of a number plate connoisseur, and the absolute best thing you can fit to your pre-2001 vehicle is some replica dealer plates in the old style font. To me, modern plates on an old car seems like seeing a microwave in a country house. These August Motors Salisbury replicas made by Retro Plates could be remade using the rear one. Although, sadly, we did have to sacrifice the honeycomb and 4D effect, but still, they look 100 times better than what was on the car before. With the old plates removed, these could be used as a template for the new ones, and once fitted, along with new fixings, the CE8 was complete. And here it is, all finished. The Honda now looks like it rolled off that Swindon production line last week. As I've said a few times, you have to give credit to Honda's build quality. Even in a UK plant, they can still build something so substantial. No, it's not perfect, but if the population of CE8s was a classroom, this example would be the head student. See, Accord 5s are seldom in the UK, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of the nicest left. If you couldn't already tell, this is exactly what this channel's about. Saving cars from the brink of extinction, not tearing them around a track or making them shoot flames. Just a nice, sympathetic factory reset, and I think we've done exactly that. Right, let's have a little look around the Honda now it's all done. So straight away, that woodland green paintwork is looking brilliant. This colour is really what makes this car, and I'm so glad that it cleaned up so well. Those arches and the sills have been cleaned up now. The little rubber arch line has been fitted back on. Kept the nice Peary Correct stickers, got rid of the slightly naff ones. Probably one of the biggest changes, other than the paint job, was the number plates. I think they really suit the car. The original dealer plate. Sadly, we lost the honeycomb effect, but that couldn't be replicated, unfortunately. So we've got the next best thing, and we've got the original August Motors replica dealer plates from Retro Plates. They've done a really good job, and they just make the car look right. Inside, it looks, well, brand new. Again, there's just not a speck of damage or wear on it, really. It is such a testament to Honda for how well it stood up. This was peeling off a little bit, so we've stuck that back on. Rear seats were filthy, quite disgusting. With a good vacuum, they've come up lovely. They didn't even need to be wet vaxed. They're really tidy. In the front, all four floor mats were done nicely. They were wet vaxed because they were a bit of a state. That wood trim has cleaned up really well. All the nooks and crannies had so much sort of dust in them and random bits of things. I don't know, down here there was the tissue roll, remember that? In here we had the lollipop stick, that's all gone. So it's lovely and clean now. The Pioneer radio working well. Gear knob had a lot of sort of shine to it, and you could tell that was grease from just not being clean for ages. And now it's a nice matte finish again, so that was a result. The headlining is no longer sagging, and you don't get orange dust dropping down on you when you're driving it. And yeah, just the inside of this car is such a nice place to be. But I'd say the piece de resistance is under here. Look at that, an immaculate 2-litre Honda engine there. All the plastics are now nice and shiny. Under here was covered in dirt, and that has just been peeled off and brought back to life. There's no rust in here whatsoever. The strut tops are immaculate. Still got their original factory green paint. A lot of those have been schultzed over on cars. They're like new. All this green paint work still has a lovely shine to it. Once it was degreased, it had loads of sort of unnecessary grease on it. I still kept the original grease on the
mechanisms and stuff like that, but around the bright work it's been taken back and left to factory. In the front here, like I mentioned, we had to do that front window switch. Quite a common fault on these. These Land Rover 600s have a lot of problems with their windows, either window regulators or switches or motors. Luckily this was the easy fix, which was the switch, so that's been sorted. In here it's such a nice place to be now. Remember that gooey substance in there? That was all scraped out. I don't even know what that was. There was like a mass of receipts in there. That's now clean. 69,000 miles still, so still barely running for a Honda really. Yeah, it's just a very nice place to be. I'd happily do that London trip all over again in it now. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. I'm definitely gonna miss it because it's such a comfy thing. It's such a capable thing. It's always started on the button. It is probably peak Honda, this sort of era, where they just didn't scrimp on build quality or anything like that, and it was just pieced together so nicely. Yeah, I will definitely miss it.
As you can probably tell, my time with the Honda has now come to an end. But fortunately, the new owner will be cherishing it amongst a collection of other young-timer Japanese vehicles.
So yes, thank you very much for watching the progress on the Honda, and stick around to see more cars like this getting saved.
And until then, goodbye.